Hey there, I'm Nicholas Dubois, co-founder of Advanced Sim Racing. We are a Canadian company. So what we did here today is for a real petrol head. He's really passionate about cars, as you can see behind me. We did a turnkey solution for him based on his needs. We try to gather as much information as we can on our client. And like we did today, we install a D-box system. We install ultra-wide cube control steering wheel. We try to provide the best quality for your budget. So let's say if you want a budget of 10 grand, we're gonna give you something that's the best for 10 grand. If you want 20 grand, then we always try to stay within your boundaries. We do try to make it as easy as possible so the client
Among the top 5 in the points, only Laughter and Halpern haven't gotten a win yet. But perhaps the more stunning stat is that Zach has yet to finish inside the top 5 on the track. Will tonight's race in the desert finally change that? We'll find out soon as we get ready to watch round 4 of the Outsider Racing League, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Joey Tebben. Behind the scenes is our director, Gary Sexton, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Phoenix has seen NASCAR racing amongst its dusty hills for more than 3 decades now, but its current rendition is nothing like it once was. Let's head to our track guide to learn more.
Welcome to the Valley of the Sun and Phoenix Raceway. Located about 15 minutes west of downtown Phoenix at the base of the Estrella Mountains, Phoenix Raceway opened in 1964. Phoenix is known for its unique tri-oval layout, and in 2011 underwent a facelift for the first time in its history, adding banking to both corners while opening up that dogleg into a high bank sweeping corner with lots of room down on the apron. This resulted in a drastic change in racing here in the desert. The original layout called for using the sweeping turns 3 and 4 to set up a pass in the out-braking zone entering turn 1. But the new layout, especially with the NASCAR-style cars and an open dogleg, encourages quite the opposite, as several different entry lines now exist for turns 3 and 4, often allowing for side-by-side racing and better passing opportunities on the back half of the track. Now, the renovated layout still possesses many risks to over-eager drivers here at Phoenix. The apron in turns 3 and 4 can be especially slick on an open-wheel car, and don't forget the wall on corner exit. Turn 4 has claimed many aggressive drivers throughout the years. That wall just kind of feels like it pops out and grabs you at times. And while the changes here have helped make racing more competitive, the age-old rule, of course, still applies. Track position is king. Get out in front, you're sure to have an easier time navigating this tricky track. So what do you say? Why don't we hike up Rattlesnake Hill, grab your virtual chair, and settle in for what's sure to be a great show.
Well, Joey, we've now got the next-gen cups out here on the newer Phoenix, so how is the new going to feel with the new?
Well, that's a very good question. That's been a storyline we've been following all season. It's a new car. It's almost a prototype of a car, and a lot of drivers getting caught out. Some drivers have taken to the next gen better than others, but it's still a little bit of an experiment. So we don't quite know what we're going to see tonight.
Yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye out on that as we take a look at, of course, the championship so far in this season. And we've had 3 winners amongst these top 5, with Zach Carr up at the top of it, only 4 points ahead of Chad Klinger. Now, Carwile got a couple penalty points so far, so he's down there in 5th position. Halpern and Laughter, as I mentioned, only 2 that still need a win in these top 5. And we have quite a few rounds before we get to the playoffs portion of the season. So there really isn't too much drama in that part of it quite yet. We just have to make sure that those who want to advance through amongst those top 12 manage to at least sneak in there before all is said and done. However, for the race details, Joey, what have we got in store for us tonight at this little tri-oval?
Well, as usual for the Outsider Racing League, it's a little bit of a unique format. We've got 150 laps, but what you don't see there is that we'll have halfway points given out on lap 75 halfway through the race. So points will be given out from 1st to 10th, 10 points to 1st, 1 point to 10th, halfway in the race. So drivers will have to take that into consideration when they're planning their strategies. It's a fixed setup, and they have 5 tire sets. You might think that's a lot, but I heard from Evan Adams before the race that those tires were getting absolutely shredded. So the drivers might need all 5 of those tire sets. We'll see. And they have no spare car. So if they get damaged, they're going to have to be sitting in the pits for a while, getting that fixed.
I guess the good news is, in spite of this being in the middle of the day here in Phoenix, it's actually not too bad on the track right now. It's only 93 degrees Fahrenheit, so let's hope that it'll stay somewhere around there and won't continue to get too toasty out in the desert. We're waiting for the qualifying session to begin, which will start in about 4 minutes. But in the warm-up, does appear that once again, Joey, Josh Banks showing some very good speed here in these next-gen cars.
Indeed, it looks like Josh Banks has a grip on this place, but he's not that far ahead of the rest of the field. Halpern, Miller, Massey, pretty much the whole top 10 is spread by only 2/10, so they're all pretty darn close to each other. And a couple contenders, Mitch Welker just came in, Caleb Weekly hadn't set a lap time in, so we'll probably see them up there as well. So it's looking like it's going to be yet another very competitive race here. Everybody pretty much under a very, very tiny blanket.
Indeed. The drivers will certainly have to watch out for all the different things that could play out here today. They could get a few cautions. So we were talking about it before the race, that sometimes this place can see quite a few of them, but it's something of a mixed bag, Joey. So, I mean, what are some of the ways that we often see those erupt around here? What are some of the trouble spots?
Well, it might kind of seem counterintuitive that this place would have a lot of cautions with the sheer amount of asphalt that you see Mr. Welker using every single last bit of. But it's the exit of turn 4 where problems really tend to pop up. That wall just comes out at you. It's at a weird angle. The exit of the corner's at a weird angle. So if you hit the wall in 4, you're going to be holding up a whole train of cars behind you, and people are going to pile in with little to no space to get out of the way. So it's a weird track in that some of it's as narrow as Martinsville, and some of it's as wide as, I don't know, a track that's really wide. Talladega, yeah, exactly. So it's a tale of two cities here in Phoenix.
Yeah, and you're right about the tri-oval especially being super open, because this is the open dogleg that they are running tonight. So if you see them cutting down across there, that is allowed. So no need to fret that they're doing something that is naughty. They basically can choose whatever direction they want through there. Just 2 more minutes now before we head off, and they'll get 2 laps to set their quickest time on this circuit. As heading down to the bottom, that is Chad Klinger, just taking a moment to park himself. Chad, as I mentioned, second in the points right now. Certainly going to be watching out for Zach Carr, which, I say that, I don't think we actually have our points leader here today. Well, that changes that story by quite a bit.
Yeah, I was looking down the list as well, and no, Mr. Zach Carr is not here. So does that open up the field a little bit? Maybe it does, because he's been on a hot streak as of late. But as usual, we still have at least half a dozen, maybe a full dozen cars that can win this thing. And just on the topic of strategy again, I got a message here from Evan Adams talking about strategy. He says a full tank of fuel might be enough to get to lap 70, but can the tires get to lap 70 is the real question. So it might be a one-stop if they're able to save that little bit of fuel to maybe get to 75, 76, something like that. But the tires are going to be a big question because those things are getting absolutely shredded. He reported 25% on his right front after 30 laps. And now, admittedly, Evan does admit that he's harder on tires than some of their drivers. So some of our front runners, they might be a little bit nicer to their tires, but 25% after 30 laps, you could be Sergio Perez and you're not saving them tires.
Well, and let's throw another wrench in that mix as well, because they have more than just a single set that they can change into. So if it does manage to stay green that long, would it maybe be quicker to try and make it into 2 or potentially a 3-stop race?
Well, as usual, that's the open strategy here. If the tires are falling off as badly as Evan's reporting, you might want to take that extra pit stop, that extra set of tires. And also, I just saw at the bottom of your timesheet, Zach Carr, he showed up in the dying seconds of
Aha!
practice, so he's not going to get much practice in this session, but he's here.
At least he is in for qualifying, because that starts right about now. Let's hope that he's done some practice of his own throughout the week. This is a fixed setup, though, so he better have had the right one plopped onto the car for his time spent out there. As let's see who's going to be among our first to take to the circuit in this qualifying session. I see Tim Downey Jr. and looks like Evan Adams and Nolan Hodgson going to be among our first goers. And we have not had much in the way of temperature change as well. It's still at about 94 degrees Fahrenheit. So similar to what they were just experiencing. Don't need to make too many adjustments on that end. And here you see the pink and yellow 25 of Tim Downey Jr. just getting ready to start that first hot lap.
And as we learned in Martinsville a couple weeks ago, going out later in the session doesn't really help at all in a 5-minute session. It helps in some cars. Like we know the Indy car, it's very fiddly. You can get those extra thousandths out of it by waiting until the end of the session. But the drivers are going out as early as they possibly can, trying to use up all the time they possibly can in case they need to recover from a mistake. Tim Downey Jr. hasn't made any yet, and this will be his first lap. He keeps it out of the wall. Geez, that was close.
Still kept it out of there, and it counted. It's a 27.5. It's the first time on the board. And now we got to wait and see who else can top that. Well, Welker is the first to do so. Evan Adams just below Downey. Ben Lafter gets it onto there. He's had a hectic day as he was racing at Long Beach in the Camel GT series. That went about as you could probably expect based on just what you might know about that series and that track. And Lafter at least into the top 3 here on the oval side of things. Still haven't had a good chunk of this field come across with a time. There's Weekly now.
Ironically, Caleb has not been racing weekly. This is his first race in a while, so he's stacking up at the back of the grid right now, but he's got more time. He's got a second lap. Mitch Welker just went to the top of the timesheets. He only did a 27.4 in practice, but of course he found a random 10th in qualifying, and that puts him on top by almost the margin that we saw covering the top 10 in practice.
Close was in second until Josh Banks put one down, and he has demoted everybody down one position. He takes the provisional pole. Ray Massey up into third. Not too bad there. I see Chad Klinger starting his first flyer, so the 09, who sits in second in the points, trying to see if he can come around and join the fun up at the front of the field. Still missing Zach Carr on the track, so he has not put it out there yet. Here comes the 09. And it looks like for his first one, it'll be a 27.3. Good enough for the outside of the second row.
Now here's Chad Klinger, currently in fourth, also currently second in the championship. Oh, and that's the dangerous part of going down to the apron. With that transition, there's an angle there, so if you hit that wrong, you're going to be getting loose, and you're going to be losing it just like Chad Klinger did. So that's going to be his qualifying session over. Fourth place. It could be worse, but he paid the price for trying to cut down. And you also have to make sure you don't cut down too early, because you can just kill your momentum. If you're spending all your time trying to get down there and you're not holding your speed on the exit of 2, that'll just kill your lap.
So it sounds like it's a bit of a battle between momentum versus the shortest distance. It's I guess that's always the racer's fight, isn't it? And Caleb Weekly has already finished his 2 laps, so he's just getting some practice. And nobody else on the circuit right now at all. I was going to say that's able to set a time, but really this number 10 is out with about a minute left to go with just under 30 seconds. I'm looking at the final 7 drivers, it appears, and I don't think they're going to have enough time to get a lap in unless they go right this second.
And it's strange. Some of the big hitters from practice, Jeremy Miller's not out there, Clifton Cockrell's not out there, David Mott Jr., and our two newcomers that joined in the last couple seconds, Zach Carr and Eddie Trejo, they're not out there either. So they might be going into this race with 0 practice laps. So, like you said, you better hope they came out here in maybe an AI session a little bit earlier this week.
That's a good point. So, yeah, that only 14 of roughly 20 cars setting a time is an interesting one to say the least. Again, I believe we talked about this at Martinsville when we had a few drivers do that there too. It's not usually considered a valid strategy to try to start from the back in order to avoid trouble, at least on circuits such as these. So, last 15 seconds tick down, which means our grid is officially set. And let's go through our starting order for today's 4th round of the season. And it is going to be Ray Massey who has put it on the pole. Josh Banks will be starting next to him as Mitch Welker will be in 3rd. Chad Klinger, good enough for P4. Zach Halpern in 5. So very close to one another are 2 championship leaders as Matthew Close will start from 6. Bryce Calusa will be P7 and Tim Downey Jr. in 8th. Then row 5 has been Laughter to the inside. Finian DeCuna starts from 10th.
Then in number 11 spot is Casey Lakatos alongside Evan Adams, Nolan Hodgson, and Caleb Weekly getting his practice in qualifying. Will start 14th. And the rest of these drivers did not set a lap time. Zach Carr didn't set a lap time in practice or qualifying. Jeff Wright, Jeremy Miller, Eddie Trejo, Clifton Cockrell, Joshua Collins, and rounding out the field in the 21st spot. I couldn't tell you. Everything's getting jumbled up. There's one more driver out there, and it's David Mott Jr. There he is.
There he is. All right. So as we get ready to take off on our lone pace lap, big thanks again to the Outsider Racing League for bringing us on to cover this season. Now, last time we were at an oval 2 weeks ago at Martinsville, Joey. Like I said before, we had a lot of cautions. But even the drivers and the organizers came to us and said that's highly unusual for this series. So knowing that, do we have high hopes for long green flag runs?
Well, it depends if the drivers can keep the tires under them, I guess. If we're getting drivers getting loose coming out of 2 and going onto the apron and losing it, that's going to be a guaranteed caution no matter what. So if the drivers can keep the cars pointing in a straight line, if they can keep them out of the turn 4 wall, I think we'll have a nice long green flag run and maybe an interesting strategy race. But we got to survive lap 1 and the ensuing restarts for that to happen.
Has Zach Carr taken out to the track?
I don't see him.
know.
And Eddie Trejo's out there, though.
Carr, Wright, and Collins are not on the circuit. Carr is in the session, Wright is not, and Collins is not. So a few of our drivers will not be joining the grid and probably not joining the race at all, it seems. Hopefully we get Zach Carr at least out there in time. I do see that I haven't seen a disconnect at any point after he joined. So I don't think he's having connection problems, but this is very strange to see someone so high up leading the points, literally, decide to not even take to the grid.
I mean, he might have just thought that he didn't get enough practice in. He didn't want to be a nuisance, so he just took one for the team. So who knows? No Zach Carr might open up the field a little bit.
Ray Massey then will lead them around as he's on the inside of Josh Banks, waiting for the green flag to wave. There it is in Barney's hand, and the green flag is out. 23 decent, but it's also a good jump for Banks coming up around the long way down into turn 1. He carries good momentum at first. He's going to carry on this fight onto the tri-oval portion. And the 23 going to take all the way. Oh, and a spin from Banks. Banks loses it, just touching the banking. No caution.
No caution for that. He's off the racing surface, so there's not going to be a caution for that, but Mitch Welker's going to have damage on the nose. Joshua Banks is going to have side pod damage. And he didn't even hit the apron, I don't think. He just lost it. No, he did. He got one wheel below the yellow line, and that sent that thing around.
Wow. So Josh Banks is now up against it. He's still on the lead lap, but he's in danger of going a lap down if his car is pretty damaged, which it does look like the front has a bit of it.
And if you look at the front end of the Coca-Cola Cherry number 16 of Welker, that thing is very, very crunkled. So there's going to be big damage on that thing. He's going to be fighting damage for the rest of the day. Not a great start for either of those two drivers. And there's still 147 laps they're going to have to suffer through.
I thought crunkling was what the kids did in the club. But as Mitch Welker continues on around, currently sitting in that 5th position, he hasn't suffered too badly from that. Already starting lap 4, Ray Massey, your leader. Chad Klinger now gets promoted into 2nd.
And we'll see if Mitch Welker's defending skills can really help him out here. He was racing on another broadcasting service in the Grand Prix series at Suzuka, and he was holding a train back there for a good amount of laps. So if he can use some of them skills here today, he should be able to prevent himself from falling down to the 18th spot. But right now, he's got Bryce Calusa all over the back of him. He's got Ben Lafter trying to eat him up. He's in danger back there.
Yeah, that's our first good fight on the track there between the 20 and the 64. 20 went awful high. So we're watching the leaders on our screen right now. There is this big pack. Look at them fan out down into 3 and 4. Still with Calusa on the high side. Downey Jr. behind them as Dacuna in the 94 is trying to see if he can complete the pass.
Not completely clear, but he's got the bottom in 1 and 2, and now he's completely clear. Getting rid of the shell number 20 of Bryce Calusa. That's Finian up another spot. He's gone from 10th to 7th. So Finian's made up 3 spots. Ben Lafter's made up 3 spots. So a couple of big movers in the early stages. We'll see if they can make up any more spots. Next up on their list is the number 16.
Welker still dealing with that damage, and the 64 doesn't give a go down into turn 1 this time. Ben Lafter is certainly made up a couple spots here early on. That number 20 is certainly doing the reverse and has just been continuing to plummet. Oh, and there goes another one in the background. You could see this time, no, excuse me, that was Tim Downey Jr. rather, similarly painted car. He got overtaken by Jeremy Miller in the 30.
Jeremy Miller was very, very far down onto the apron in turn 4, which I guess you can do because he got by him. And he's running away now. Tim Downey Jr. looks like he's going to be falling back a little bit more as well. The momentum of the number 25 seems to be completely gone.
So now right on the nose. Oh, and up ahead of them. Little contact. The 16 and Lafter come together, trying to hold on to it. The 16 starts to spin. Everybody scatters. And, just barely avoided. And David Mott Jr. is the only one, unfortunately, to make contact out of all that, but the 16 got some big help getting that thing turned around.
And the caution gets thrown right as we go to replay, but it took him an awful long time to throw that. He tried to save it, but unfortunately there's no real saving when you get turned like that. Ben Lafter got down to the bottom of him, and did he wash up? Yeah, he washed up a little bit. There wasn't much space left for him, but Ben Lafter definitely moved up there. And the 16, more nose damage. I don't think he got hit in the back at all, but he was sitting there for an awfully long time.
Tell you who this does help is Josh Banks gets to go up to the back of the field now. So I'm sure he's grateful on that one. But Massey leads Klinger, leads Close, leads Halpern for your top 4 currently. They're coming around. Let's see if we get pitters this early. Yes. Oh, well, we thought we did. We got a couple. Looks like Close, Lafter. I also see Calusa, Downey Jr., Lakatos, Adams, Trejo, Weekly. Wow, more did than didn't.
Yeah, 10 laps. It's still a pretty lengthy green flag run comparatively. It's not like we only did 1 lap, so there will be wear on those tires. And if it's as bad as we've heard, 10 laps on the tires might bring you down like 20 or 30 percentage points. So it might be a good move to come in here. And about Joshua Banks, I'm trying to see, is he in? Yes, he is. He's going to get damage. Remember back to Martinsville, how many times did that car get destroyed and he still finished 3rd?
We had a number of cars miss their pit stall. Banks looked like he did. Welker as well. I saw Evan Adams miss his. Nolan Hodgson. My goodness. So first one out is going to be Lakatos with a 5-second stop. Now that's a weird amount of time. Maybe just saving his tires and taking a splash of fuel. And then Close appears to be the first one out with fresh rubber in the 92. He's going to return in 8th.
Yeah, that is strange from Casey Lakatos. I don't know what he could have done in his pit box. Maybe if we've run 10 laps, he could just have taken fuel, 5 seconds of fuel there. So maybe he thinks that the prediction of 70 laps on a fuel tank is correct and nobody will be able to make it on one more stop, but he will if he gets fuel.
See Clifton Cockrell in now. So I think he chose to go in either again or his first time. No, this is his first time, excuse me. So just didn't like his decision initially to stay out, it seems. Poor David Mott Jr. has gotten the worst of all of it as he goes 3, maybe even 4 laps down this time by trying to get many of those repairs. Here you see the 28 now returning to the track. Cockrell is going to stay on the lead lap.
That's 17 drivers left on the lead lap. 3 didn't take to the grid, unfortunately, and 1, David Mott Jr., is 2 laps down, will be 3 laps down as they approach the line this time. Just trying to compare. Who's the last car who didn't pit is Jeremy Miller. Then Casey Lakatos, we know, didn't take tires. So Matthew Close is the first one on those fresh tires, 6 cars back. So I'll be watching him, seeing how many spots he can make up going into 1 and 2, maybe around the outside and turn 4 with that extra grip. He'll probably be the one to watch here.
Okay, we are double file once again. And Massey and Klinger on the front row. So 18 cars still running. Well, no, 17 cars still running. Mott's still not out there. And they don't have a spare car, let's remember. So he's going to have a hard day, no doubt, as we come around through 3 and 4. We had a good start last time. Got some pretty decent racing in there as well. Let's see what the 23 has in store. Looking for the green. Green flag is out. And he is off behind him. Halpern not able to get to the inside of Klinger, so he'll have to settle for 3rd or maybe even 4th, because here comes the big Dacuna.
Matthew Close, the one to watch on those fresh tires, hasn't made up all that much ground, but now he dispatches a Casey Lakatos in the 50. Now is where the... Oh, who's that in the back spinning?
Is that Caleb Weekly? And Banks. Banks again! This one way worse. What happened? Oh, so this starts with the 10 of Weekly just in front of him. There you see.
I think, did Caleb hit Tim Downey Jr.? No, he just lost it on his own on exit. Then he slams into Tim Downey Jr., sends him into the outside wall. And Joshua Banks spends the entirety of turn 4 trying to save it. Eventually, completely fails to save it. So just like at Martinsville, he's got front-end damage and rear-end damage. And if we could ride on board with the number 16, Mitch going through this one, I don't know how he avoided that, but somehow he avoided it. Oh my God. I don't think he hit Caleb. I don't think he hit Caleb Weekly. I don't think there's any new damage on that car.
There's poor Banks. Oh, man, Josh, I don't know if he can drive it as well as he could with the damage he had at Martinsville, because it's looking very similar to that already. Yeah, there, look at that car. What's left of it, at least. And he's going to have to spend extensive time with his pit crew. Already the driver's getting on the radio complaining about how the cars feel at the start. Is this cold tires, or what in the world's going on?
Cold tires are probably going to have a big part to do with it, and especially some of those drivers who pit to get a little bit of extra fuel in the tank. It would be a heavier car than they were used to a couple laps ago, so that might have caught them out off guard. But again, it's a next-gen car. It hasn't been raced in real life before, so there's some weird kinks here, and it can catch you out. We saw it at Martinsville, people getting loose for seemingly no reason, maybe because of a difference in the track pavement, but there's no difference in the track pavement here at Phoenix. You're not transferring from concrete to asphalt, so Why the drivers are getting very loose through the dog leg where it should be flat out is a good question.
Okay, well, as Banks goes a lap down, we still got 16 of them on the lead lap. Caleb Weekly there in the number 10 gonna be the last one, but we're losing them quick. We didn't even get a single lap under green on that one, so we got to wait for them to come back around here. We are on lap 17, so we are getting them in. And as far as a time limit, they do have only an hour and 55 on this to try and complete the 150 laps. Hopefully we won't hit that, though. All right, so drivers are going to cycle back around. Let's see if we get the lights off at least this time by, and if we're going to go too wide, or if we going to need another lap here of trying to cycle around. Lights are out. Here we go.
And unfortunately, Josh Banks has gone a lap down. He's not out of the pits yet, so the underdog story of Martinsville, as unlikely as it was to happen at a track where you actually need a little bit of engine power, he'll have to take another step back here. He'll have another obstacle to overcome. And an interesting detail that I was just alerted of from admin Brian Chambliss, tonight's winner will get $25 cash. So that's another thing they have to fight for.
Ooh, that could either make things better or worse. It all depends, because money certainly is a motivator for plenty of people. Even if it is $20, that's a nice little meal out for yourself. And oh, did we lose Tim Downey Jr. as well? I do not see him out there. Looks like he's had a disconnect, unfortunately. Well, one less already. They're dropping like flies, and the 23 is on the way. Green flag is out. Not once again, a very good start there from Massey, getting single file amongst the top four. DeCuna trying to see if he can hold out, but nothing doing there. This is looking a lot more calm than what we witnessed before. Let's see if we can keep things steady this time. Evan Adams, though, goes very, very low and falls to the back. Wonder if he just wanted to try and settle in and didn't feel comfortable in the mid-pack as the leaders here on your screen cross the line. We get one full green lap this time. 23 ahead of the 09 with the 26 trailing in third.
It's interesting to see how the top line in 1 and 2 is just completely irrelevant. It's useless. Finian tried to go up there on lap 1, and it did not work out for him. He lost a ton of ground to this top 3 battle. So there is one groove in turn 1 and 2. That's what we've learned here, at least for the moment.
And flashing across the line once again. Yeah, drivers not really all that interested, it seems, in battling. I wonder if they are such a handful here early in the start that many of them are just deciding to try and tick some laps off, get an ease, and then try and go on the attack.
Well, Ben Lafter just lost it again in the trial, in the dog leg, the tri-oval, whatever you want to call it. He's spun it around, no caution, even though he's currently spinning the car around on track. He gets it back rolling. He's coming to pit lane now, but everybody else has survived these opening laps, but Ben Lafter clearly still having some trouble. He's in pit lane now.
It's unfortunate to see. Yeah, the rear is all crumpled up. We got a replay on it, it looks like. Oof. Really just fishtailed it in and pancaked the side of the car. Here's another look at it.
It was like he couldn't decide where to go, and he committed to the dogleg at the last second, and then again, Mitch Welker avoids a spinning car. He got his bad luck out of the way early on, I guess. And then there's Ben Lafter trying to spin it back around. He's in the pit lane. He'll go multiple laps down. Not great. Not a great situation for him this early on in the race. But we still got a lot of laps left to run, so anything can happen. Never give up. All that kind of thing.
Exactly. Well, here's the interesting thing. Watching that replay, that looked like a carbon copy of Josh Banks' opening spin. Just went right down almost to the apron, but didn't quite touch it, or at least didn't look like it. And then suddenly the car got loose. It almost seems like that line just isn't great with whatever they've got the setup on in this car, as we see the battle now between Miller on the inside of DeCuna. And Finian is going to have to wash out wide. I think he might have to give this spot up. Yeah, the 30 gets underneath and he's through.
Yeah, I don't think that was deliberate going up to the high line there. He just went a little bit wide, but definitely did not work out. Miller ahead of DeCuna now for 5th place. And we'll see. Oh, Finian gets loose on the entry of 4. There is a little bit of a transition between the racing surface and the apron in turn 4. It's not as terribly big of an angle as in the dogleg, but Finian did clip that a little bit, and I saw him getting a little bit loose. Good on him for saving it, but it's a dangerous game when you go below the yellow line here.
Okay, so we're down to now only, well, we're at 15, because guess who's rejoined? Josh Banks is in it once again in the 36, but he is very slowly lapping currently, so he's probably just trying to scalp whatever positions he can.
Zach Halpern down the inside of Chad Klinger. He got to the inside in 1 and 2, but can he hang in there? Oh, Klinger's got a great run on the outside of 4, and no, Halpern can't hang on. He had the inside for like half a lap, and he just couldn't hold on down there, unfortunately. Oh, but now he's going to get it. Klinger goes super high, washes up almost into the wall, just murdered all of his momentum, and there goes the 26 up into 2nd. He can't fight that now.
Dirt certainly doesn't seem like it. He's going to have to give up the ghost as they continue to fight here in the mid-pack. Ooh, a little bit of a poke out there from Matthew Close. Chad Klinger leaves the door open. But that bottom line, well, I thought it wasn't working at first in mid-corner, and coming back at it, the 92 finds a little bit of speed.
And remember, Matthew Close has 11 lap younger tires than these top 3, so it looks like the fruits of his pit stop are finally coming back to him. He's making his moves up into the front. He's in the top 3 now. Question is, can he chase down our 2 leaders? Close in practice. I mean, he was pretty close to these top 2 in terms of race pace in practice, so I think he might be looking at the lead in a couple laps' time.
On board with our leader, looking back from the gearbox from the 23. Ernie Massey has led a good chunk of this race so far. In fact, I think he's led every lap up to this point as we tick off number 31 now. And the 23 still has some pressure from behind. Halpern not dropping away quite yet, but he's got about 4 or 5 car lengths between himself and that P1. As we get a little bit of a pass, I think, for 4th place. Klinger is alongside the car of Miller right now.
Interesting, because neither of these guys came in on that last stop, so I wonder if Klinger is struggling with the tires a little bit more than anybody else is right now. He's lost the bottom completely to Jeremy Miller, and again, he is using top. Oh, he squeezes Miller down. Miller puts a wheel under the yellow line. Never works out. So I think that's the way you make the high line work. You squeeze the car on the inside a little bit too far down, and it looks like that actually did work out for the 09. So he's not going to lose this spot yet, but he's in danger. He's in danger. Those tires are struggling.
Still going to try it once again. Keeps his nose down in there. Sends it in deep. Miller is brave here today, and they're going to be dead even off the corner, ducking all the way down to the flat apron. 30 starts to edge forward. Klinger sends it in deep himself this time into 3 and 4. Watching from behind, DeCuna has a front row seat to all the action, and they're going to rub fenders there. They're going to bang doors. And Miller is getting on the radio about this now. I wonder if they're starting to get a little frustrated.
I mean, when you're in lockstep with another car, you're always going to get frustrated because you can't get rid of him. But he does finally clear Chad Klinger. Now Chad's going to be on offense here. Can he get to the inside of Miller? No, he cannot. He's going to have to get back in line now. Now he's got to look back to the 94. Does Finian have anything for him? Can he make his way back up into the top 5? Looks like Klinger's struggling, so I think Finian will be happy to see that.
Yeah, while Finian was up a little higher earlier on, we have to remember he started in 10th, so he's kind of leveling out more towards where he began this thing. He's still on a net gain in 6th. He does stick his nose in on Chad Klinger briefly, then decides against it. Each of them running about a lane off the bottom there through 3 and 4. Wonder if that's to potentially try and preserve these tires.
Well, that just tends to be the line in 4 at the end of these runs. You just kind of have to run a little bit higher up, get a little bit of a late apex road course style, keep your momentum up. So it is good for saving the tires if you're not completely scrubbing them by taking the qualifying line. And you can see some drivers as well in the dog leg. They're not going down to the apron. They're not going all the way down into the dog leg. They're just staying up on the IndyCar racing surface to maybe save the tires a little bit. I don't know if it's really working out because it seems like everything's evened out. And there goes Finian. Oh, that's a mile too high. He's going to lose a whole heap of spots now. Just overcooked it into turn 1, and he's paying the price.
Yeah, Highline doesn't seem to be working there through turn 1 for sure, as things are getting a little clogged up. And one car heading into pit lane, Chad Klinger, has not pitted since the start, but this surely cannot be fuel. This seems an unusual call at this stage.
Well, maybe he's thinking, with only 14 cars left on track, what are the chances that we get a caution anytime soon? So he might as well go for some green flag pit stop strategy, come in for a fresh pair of tires, or a fresh 2 pairs of tires, I should say. I don't see any reason he would take 2 tires. But here he comes down into his box. He should take 4 tires here, get off of those old ones that were hurting him so much. Yeah, he missed that box. That's going to hurt him even more. But yeah, he was struggling with the tires. I think he's just getting off of them.
Okay, we'll see if this works out. Our highest driver to have pitted right now is Matthew Close. He's actually worked his way up into 3rd. A few of those that did not pit on the first time through are kind of dropping down. Finian DeCuna, one of those. And once again, he's got a front row view. There you can see side-by-side action on your screen just behind Close with Nolan Hodgson and Bryce Calusa taking it into turn 1. Calusa on the high side. I said that wasn't working earlier, but does for the 20.
Hasn't gotten rid of Hodgson yet. The 95 went very, very low, almost down to the wall in the dog leg, but it was not enough for him. That extra track that Calusa took did not hurt him very much. He kept the momentum up. He will stay up in 5th place at the moment on track. Probably becomes 6th place once Chad Klinger cycles around.
No, Chad Klinger just got in a big accident. Sorry. And he got into the back of Josh Banks. Was not expecting Josh to be slow.
Oh dear, I just watched it back. It was because Evan Adams hit the wall up ahead, and that kind of stacked everybody up.
A lot of apologies over the radios there, so many drivers putting their hands up. Banks coming in, and Chad Klinger is going to return to pit lane quite early.
You know, it's unfortunate we couldn't see Evan Adams in that shot, but Evan, I think he hit the wall on his own. I'm not sure if he got any help coming out of 4. Yeah, there you see Evan. He's just kind of flailing around on the outside. Banks slowed down. Klinger did not expect him to slow down as much as he did, and that is a slam into the inside wall for him. Josh Banks gets even more damage, and Evan Adams was damaged as well. So 3 cars coming out badly from that.
And yet again, no caution for that. So it's sort of weird because we don't really want more cautions, but this really robs us of yet more drivers from the lead lap and being competitive, at least until we get a yellow that allows them a lucky dog. Looks like, Mitchell Welker with the bunched up nose on that number 16 is going to come down pit lane as well, making the call here on lap 44.
See if he can pull off the Chad Klinger strategy without getting taken out in a pile up on the front straight. He'll bring it down to one of those first pit stalls. He's been running in the back of these drivers that are still alive here because of that damage, but that goes to show he had the pace before that car got destroyed. He brings it in. Oh, no, he's gone. He left. I thought he was taking tires. He left instantly.
Well, yet another DNF then. Impressively, though, we have brought a few of our drivers back into it. David Mott Jr. is racing once again Tim Downey Jr. also back in the fray. We watch the 20 on your screen, just on the bumper of Matthew Close. So after Close's pit stop, looked like it was giving him an advantage. Suddenly, doesn't seem to be working as well. In fact, the 3 in front of him all still haven't stopped, and now the 3 behind him have stopped. So Matthew Close feeling the pressure.
Yeah, you have to wonder, has he just not been as nice on his tires as anybody else? Because he had that 11-lap advantage, but that's gone by the wayside because Miller and now Kalusa, and of course the top 2, seem like they've been even nicer on their tires. They've made up that 11-lap deficit.
So I believe if they want to break this up equidistant and use every tire that they've got, if they feel like that's quicker, I think it's every 30 laps roughly. So maybe could be what we're seeing with some drivers trying to pit early. And down to the bottom side, there goes Kalusa. He'll be able to overtake Close.
And the 95 of Nolan Hodgson also gets down to the bottom. You're going to be side by side down the front straight. Hodgson has the run here. He has the momentum. Clearly, he's been kinder on his tires as well. Oh, he's going to slam the 92 out of the way, but it works. He doored him out of the way a little bit, but he's clear. The 95 now up into 5th place as Close continues to fall down.
Ooh, looking underneath a little bit and then washing out. Matthew Close can't quite get close to Nolan Hodgson. And he's even getting on the radio asking Matthew if he made contact. The answer, though, I can tell you, Nolan, is no. That was either air wash or just the 92 had something happen back there that he didn't quite like. But now we're starting to see plenty of them get their own space on the track, but we've only got 11 drivers on the lead lap. We've lost 3 of them, Welker, Adams, and Banks. Klinger is just coming back onto the circuit now after taking his repairs. He's going to be about 8 laps down. Laughter, Downey Jr., and Mott Jr. are the last ones on the track running or basically just circulating to collect points from here on.
Yeah, that's why I would always stay out here, because in this series, in most oval racing series, you get points for every position. So even if you're struggling with a car that looks like a can in the recycling bin, you might as well stay out there and get as many points as you can, as many positions as you can, because you know you're probably not going to be the last person to run into trouble. And Chad Klinger's still out there 8 laps down, so he's going to make up some positions from some of the drivers that disconnected. Ben Laughter's still out there 19 laps down. So when every point matters in the championship, I think you're going to want every single one of them.
And Zach Halpern is now pitting. And part of me wonders if some of this is strategy for the halfway points at 75 mark. And whoa, Zach had to back up a long way to get to his pit stall on that one. So yet more valuable time lost. But as far as the halfway points go, this seems like way too early to try and manage this on that.
I am not sure, but clearly Zach Halpern and his team, they've got something everybody else doesn't. They know something we don't. So we'll see if that pays off for him. And it's interesting to see basically everybody is overcooking their pit stall. They're getting on the brakes too late, or they're not braking enough, whatever the issue is. I don't know what they're doing with their brake bias or what, but it seems like everybody's been overcooking their pit stall. They've been running over the front jackman, and I don't know why. I don't know why everyone's going in there so hot.
And Jeremy Miller just brushed the wall coming out of one. So, is that a new part of the next gen? Do they have front jackmen now in NASCAR?
Who knows at this point? You never know. You read the articles about what they've added for the next gen car, they might as well have a front jackman.
That would be interesting to watch, trying to get those things up with the front-loading jack. Anyways, as we watch Miller, who might be suffering from a little bit of the damage that we saw him get hitting the wall, Nolan Hodgson is now all over that bumper. Ooh, nearly getting into it as well. Backed out of it through 3 and 4. So
yeah, more than all over the bumper, almost inside the bumper. Didn't push Jeremy out of the way, though. But he seems like he's a lot faster on entry and a lot faster on exit, too. They even out in the middle of the corner, but other than that, Nolan Hodgson clearly with an advantage here. He didn't have the best qualifying. He didn't have the best practice either, but clearly number 95 has been very kind to his tires because he looks like he's in way better shape than Jeremy Miller right now.
Absolutely. And we also had Matthew Close get a pit stop. I'm watching the times of Zach Halpern before the stop. He was running 29s. He's coming out running 27s. So we're looking at a 2-second per lap difference on a 1-mile oval. That's actually a monstrous margin that he's making up.
Oh, Matthew Close was just backwards into the entrance of turn 4, so his strategy of pitting under green is not going to work out. He lost a ton of ground there. He had to spin the car back around. That is, I still don't know why everybody's losing it on these cold tires, but Matthew Close is one of them. Here he is exiting the pits all the way down there in the apron, staying out of the way, and the second he goes up onto the track, does he make contact with Ben Laffer?
Wow.
No, he just loses it on turn-in.
Loses a goose, my goodness. Did he? Yeah, he stayed off the wall. Good catch, at least on that part. No damage, just a bruised ego. Close is down to 11th. Looks like Takuna is in as well. The 94, I don't know if he hit his stall or if he... Nope, he went past it as well.
So I don't know if
do we need to
drivers
buy
are-
glasses for everybody or something here?
Yeah, I don't know if they're watching each other's pit stops, but you would think somebody would eventually learn that, everybody's overcooking their pit stall. Maybe I'll back it up a little bit, go slowly in there, but I guess not. Nobody's got scouts down there, so everybody's just continuing to do exactly the same thing. Now, this is critical, Finian. Don't get up on the racing surface and lose it instantly into 4. Can he keep it in a straight line? Yes, he can. So Finian clearly has a mastery of these cold tires and a full fuel tank, but some of the other drivers just struggling a little bit after that pit stop transition.
Calusa's in, Trejo pits. I see Cockrell in, and it looks like Weekly's already taken his stop. He's returning to the track alongside Cockrell, actually. So Clifton's already taken his pit stop. Massey is the only one yet to stop, holding out, and we're down to 3 cars left on the lead lap. Halpern, I think, has made his lap back up.
Yeah, that's not good for Massey. The fact that Halpern's got his lap back here, you see him just streaking away. Massey staying out here for the overcut does not look like it's working out, at least in the short term. Maybe it'll come back to him in the final stint, but right now, Zach Halpern is almost a full corner ahead of Ray Massey now after passing him on the last lap. So the tires on the 23 are going to be really, really struggling here with everybody else making their pit stop. I don't see any reason for him to keep staying out here, but it looks like he's going to go around for another lap. Yes, he is.
What do his laps look like? Because he does look mighty slow. 29.8 last time through, 29.7. Man, he is creeping. The only thing I can think of, you said you don't see a reason. Again, 75 laps is that halfway mark that they'll hand out points.
Yeah, that would be a big reason to go for those halfway points. But can Ray Massey make it to halfway is the question. If we could go 70 laps on fuel, we did have that caution, so that'll help him a little bit. But if he is just going for those halfway points, will he be able to make the rest of the race a one-stopper when everybody else has to do 2 stops? Because that's the only way I can see this working out for him.
Now he's into 30-second lap times. And he just came on the radio. He is pitting, so he's not going to make it to lap 75. And Zach Halpern will easily inherit the lead. And by a big margin, Calusa's the next closest one, about 9 seconds back.
Now we watch Zach Halpern. You see the number on your screen coming down and down and down. I think Zach's going to have an absolutely massive jump on Massey here after he leaves the pit box because he got his lap back under green. He streaked away under green. I worry that Ray Massey might be about half a lap down by the time he gets out here.
There's a lot of cars getting their laps back now, thanks to him pitting in finally. Halpern goes through just as Massey, misses his pit stall. I was about to say hit his pit stall. And he backs into that one. Okay, so how far down does he go? At least a lap down, I would think, compared to Halpern. Even if he gets a beautiful pit stop. He's back rolling. 15 seconds there for Massey. Oh, he might not go a lap down.
And nearly a lap down, but not entirely. There goes Actually, I think that was Zach Halpern that just went by Ray Massey. So is Massey a lap down? Let's see on the screen as he comes by. I think he
No,
might be, but Jeremy
no.
Miller. We just have to update on Jeremy Miller. He's disconnected. Unfortunately, 5 laps ago, we didn't see it because there was no caution. But he was another victim of the dogleg. He went through the dogleg, lost it on exit, destroyed the car on the inside wall, and Jeremy Miller is our next casualty.
So they did move Massey down to 7th in the end, but freshest tires of anybody. In fact, 14 laps fresher than Zach Halpern, our leader, who is doing 28 flats, just about 28 ones right now. And Massey, of course, on fresh rubber with 27.9 last time, but he had a little bit of traffic. We should be able to see into the 27.6s on the freshest tires, but he needs to be able to use them. And now he's finally able to get past the likes of Ben Lafter and Matthew Close. That was for position with Close into 6th place for the 23 car.
And there you see the difference of those new tires, 12 10-lap newer tires on Ray Massey's car. So next on the list is Casey Lakatos. He's about 4 seconds up the road, and there's another 4 seconds up to Finney and DeCuna. So he's got quite a bit of ground to make up here. It looks like the halfway points are probably decided, but Massey's got 7 laps to make up 10 seconds to get into the top 3 here. It's possible with those fresh tires, but he's got a lot of work to do.
Now on to lap 69 for the 26 car. Let's see, how quickly is Massey gaining now? He's had a couple laps. Oh, wow, he was down to 27.4 last time by. Lightning quick laps from him. Let's see what this one will be as we watch the 26, your overall leader on the screen. 27.6. Okay, that seems a little bit more typical on the fresh rubber for the 23. Even still, he's definitely gaining a bit of time on Halpern. The bad news is he's currently 18.5 seconds behind Halpern, so it'll take a lot of laps for him to chop away and be able to catch back up.
Luckily, he's got a lot of laps to do it. That he won't get the halfway points that he wants, but he'll get some because he is in the top 10. We only have about 10 cars left. There's only 9 on the lead lap, and there's a couple stragglers multiple laps down. So they might get halfway points out of this, but after that, we do have to start focusing on the whole other second half of the race. There is still a race win on the line here. So Massey's strategy might not be working here at halfway, but in 75 laps time, if everybody has to make another stop, maybe multiple, he could be back up there.
And Eddie Trejo is the one in 10th that you mentioned, who's 1 lap down, and it's 7 more laps back to Chad Klinger. So 6 more laps, rather. So Trejo is going to get that single point unless he, well, no, even if he does bin it from here, he'll still get that point because there's not enough laps for Klinger to catch up. So he's locked into that spot effectively. And we're getting ready to start lap 73 right now. So Halpern is getting ever closer. That magic halfway mark. Massey's already caught Lakatos, and I'm guessing he's going to have this spot before we get to lap 75 unless Casey really fights hard for it.
Doesn't look like he will fight very hard for it. He's up on the high line. Down to the inside goes Ray Massey, and nice and easy. Not quite clear yet, but goes down to the apron, gets that shorter distance, and he should be clear here. There he is. Yep, easy.
So all the way back up to 5th. Not too bad of a loss. And he's got fresher tires than those around him. But then by the time we get that halfway mark, I believe the competition caution will come out. And we'll see drivers duck into pit lane anyways. Oh, excuse me. We will not have a competition caution. And Halpern is just in front of Eddie Trejo currently, who we mentioned is that 1 lap down. There you see the pair of them on screen right now through 3 and 4. Halfway bonus of 10 points goes to Zach Halpern. Calusa's going to come across for second on that. Nolan Hodgson will be third across with 8 points.
And the driver in 10th who's getting that last point, he's already scored it because he's a lap down. He came across the line right behind Halpern. Eddie Trejo did 0 laps in this session before the race started. He had nothing in practice. He only showed up with about 30 seconds left in qualifying, so either Eddie is a natural at Phoenix or he's been practicing earlier in the week, which is good. But either way, even with no practice, no qualifying, he's doing a solid job. He kept it in there. He is a lap down, but he's P10 right now, and he's going to get that extra bonus point.
Watching Trejo's perspective. Seems to be working quite well with Halpern here. Not really pushing the issue. Well, I spoke too soon. Never mind. He is going to push the issue. He's going to get his lap back. So Trejo's through. His tires rather, 18 laps old. Halpern's 27 laps old. So he was on better stuff. That makes sense then why he both caught and passed him.
Massey's advantage is starting to fall away a little bit. He's still faster than anybody else on track, but he's only about 0.3, 0.4 faster than everybody now instead of a full second. So his advantage is falling back. It's still there, but he's going to be creeping up a little bit slower now. And with 15 seconds, now about 14 seconds to the leader, it's going to take him a while to get up there if he can hold on to this advantage the whole time.
Still lots of racing left as well. And we've been going on the longest green flag run that we've had yet. We've seen at least one set of green flag stops as well. And there, where we get a second one. This is Bryce Calusa here in P2 on your screen. Remember, we saw that 20 car looking like it was dropping like a rock in the first stint. And now he's just cruising along in second place. Wonder if that was him trying to hold on to what's underneath him. Maybe just preserve the tires and tiptoe around for a few laps before he pays it all pays dividends for him.
That might be what he's doing, and that might be what he has to do here. He's falling back a little bit from Halpern. I thought I saw a little bit of smoke on screen there. I did not. Nobody lost it in front of him, luckily. But Calusa, he's working to catch up to Halpern. In turn 4, he looks a little bit quicker than he was in turns 1 and 2. So he might have more tires under him than Zach Halpern does, but again, he's got a lot of ground to make up. A lot of drivers just really spread out here. That's what green flag pit stops can do sometimes, but hopefully we meet in the middle a little bit sooner than later.
You might have a pass for 7th brewing because Cockrell is getting up behind close. And this is another case where Cockrell is on slightly fresher tires, about 3 laps difference, so it's not as major as some of the ones we've been witnessing so far today. There you see the 28 there as he attempts to chase down the 92.
Massey's finally caught Finney, and there he goes. Easy.
Leaves Finian in his wake. So Massey up to P4 now, down to 9 seconds, up to Halpern.
And there's Tim Downey Jr., another driver staying out there, 21 laps down. But he's getting his money worth because he's made up some spots here. He's up into what, 13th now? He gets by Chad Klinger, is he on track? Is he back out on track? Is he still in pits? Yes, he is. So Tim Downey Jr., Ben Lafter, Chad Klinger, they've made up as many spots as they can for the moment. If somebody else crashes, they'll get another spot, but looks like they'll be finishing 11th, 12th, and 13th.
It certainly seems that Halpern is the one that's going to be taking advantage in the championship hunt here today. Potentially taking the points lead after this is done. Cockrell really wants that spot, but can't manage to get the overlap on the 92. It's been frighteningly close a few times and just nothing doing. But I think, yeah, we saw drivers pitting in between, what, about lap 35 and 45 for the first wave of them. I wonder if we're going to start getting them in because I see Halpern on a 35-lap stint at this stage, 31 for close.
And Halpern is struggling. He's into the 29s in lap time. You can see the gap to Kalusa is falling apart. Kalusa is catching him at a rate of knots, so whatever's happened to Halpern on this last stint, he has done the longest stint of anybody except Ben Lafter. He's done 45, 48 laps, geez. But Zach Halpern, the leader of our front-running cars, who's done the most laps on his tires, we're seeing the effects of that. Kalusa about 10 laps fresher, 8 laps fresher or so. He is catching, so we might see a change for the lead here. If Zach Halpern pits before that, we'll see a change for the lead as well.
Halpern, watch Chad Klinger go by him. Chad back out after taking a pit stop about 4 laps ago. The only battle that we've really got out there on the circuit right now is between Close and Cockrell, but that's been kind of teasing us. Clifton just keeps getting up to the bumper and then not making a pass.
Well, Massey's got his next piece of prey right up there in turn 4.
Ooh, got a caution, and it's
dear.
Weekly. It's the 10 car. This happened out of 4, it looks like. I think he caught the apron, and Trejo just is going to find a piece of him. Yeah, just barely. And whoo, that was Mitchell just finding an opening on the outside.
Now we ride on board with Halpern here, who is watching Caleb Weekly up ahead. It's a close call here. He sees the smoke. Luckily, Caleb didn't hold the brakes. He went down to the bottom of the track, so good thing Halpern didn't choose to go to the bottom there, because he would have got absolutely clobbered. But yeah, Caleb Weekly just lost it on his own because he clipped that apron down there. He went below the yellow line. You don't want to do that. And he got a little bit of help from Eddie Trejo as well. So yeah, not a great situation. Caleb Weekly kind of on his own there. And we got some takers on pit road.
Yeah, this evens things out quite a bit for a lot of our drivers. So everybody in at the same time. Didn't quite work out for Massey. Remember, he started, and so everybody pretty much is missing their pit stall. I think the 23 actually hit it first time. But yeah, Massey wound up, what we said, 3rd or 4th when that caution came out. So it was only a small loss, and he's actually going to come back in the lead. Massey's pit stop and the front pit stall is going to give him that spot. Great stuff there. It all worked out in the end, which is also going to take us to a bit of a break. We'll come back with the last half here of round 4 and the Outsider Racing League. Don't go away. Welcome back to Phoenix Raceway here as we get ready to go racing once again on lap 92, lap 93, really. And Ray Massey has re-inherited the lead over Nolan Hodgson, and Halpern wound up in 5th from those pit stops. It really didn't work for the 26. But the 23 takes the restart, and it is a good one for that white and black car. Behind him, the 95 tries to chop down in front of Kalusa. Looks like he's going to be able to find the space. Dacuna around the outside. This is becoming familiar with some of these starting positions for our drivers. Dacuna gets a little bit loose, though. 26 finds some momentum. Halpern already trying to make up spots.
But does the bottom work in turn 4 this early on? The answer, maybe. He's about equal with Finian on exit, but down the front straight, the 94 has the advantage, but again, he sends it so deep into 1 and 2. Just kills all of his momentum getting up that high, and that's going to allow the 26 to stay alongside him here, and not alongside him at all. He's clear now.
All right, so Halpern now at least into the top 4. Next on his list is the 20 of Kalusa. Unfortunately for him, Massey is already about a half second ahead of the rest of the field.
But now as we race to the flag, pretty much, we'll see if Massey can take care of his tires, or will he try and stay out longer than anybody else? Is anybody going to come in for tires is a good question, because I think you can make it to the end on fuel, but would it be worth it to pit for tires so you don't have to do a 60-lap stint on these things? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if anybody will go for that.
Yeah, that's a tough question. I feel like my call would be go in for the tires based on what we've seen. 2 seconds a lap quicker just is a huge advantage. And down to the bottom lane is very fast right now across the apron, but the 20 runs out of track before he can try and overtake Hodgson. And now Halpern has joined the party. Off of turn 4. Can't find an opening quite yet. Can't get the run. Maybe set him up off of 2.
Halpern's getting awfully close to the back bumper of that number 20. Now he's going to get the bottom line. He's going to be able to go all the way down under the apron, and he should be clear of Kalusa here. Will Halpern clear Hodgson through 4 now? No, the outside line in 4 still working out for the 95, so it seems like early on in the stint, you can really hold your momentum going down into the apron. Later on, maybe, when the tires are worn more, just the act of steering down is slowing you down. So when you got fresh tires, as you can see from Zach Halpern, it's working out. But as we go later into the run, I don't think we're going to be seeing drivers going as low as he is right now. He's getting aggressive. He wants spots, and it worked out for him.
I almost wonder if the 95 brushed the wall that kicked that whole thing off, because he was so slow off the first corner. I'm checking back now. No, he didn't touch it, but he did get loose, and that's what caused that whole melee. Now he's got Kalusa behind him once again. Make that beside him. Down through the dog leg. And up into turn 3. Oh, big catch there for the 95. Drifts nearly up into the outside wall of 3 and 4. Brings it back down from the abyss. Nolan Hodgson at least retains 4th place, but he might want to change his race suit after that one.
Yeah, the abyss is a good word for it. I don't think I've ever seen anybody save a save in this car all day, but Nolan Hodgson pulled it off somehow. He brought it back from the grayest, marbliest part of the track, and he almost got Bryce Kalusa back into 1 and 2, so an incredible save from Hodgson. Finian wishes he didn't save it because he wanted 4th place, but looks like we're back to normal now, somehow.
Okay, well, ahead of it all, Massey leads by 2 seconds over Halpern. Halpern's in clear air, but how much of his tires did he use up having to make those passes? He ran a 27.8 last time by. Massey, a 27.7, a 10th in favor of the 23 car.
Yeah, being aggressive that early is great for track position, so it's good that he's in 2nd place, but are those tires still underneath him? And will they be for the next 48 laps if he does choose to stay out here?
It switched around. It was a 10th quicker for Halpern that time by over Massey. So we'll keep an eye on that as this continues on. 14 drivers still running after 18 of them began this race, and we are less than 50 laps to go.
Last lap for Massey now, 27.9. Last lap for Halpern, 27.8. So Halpern did bring it back a little bit that time, but they are just kind of ping-ponging back and forth. Massey will go faster, then Halpern will go faster. Halpern down into the 1.5s for but a moment, so I think he's better in 1 and 2, and Massey might be a little bit better through 4, and it looks like they're evening out just a little bit for the moment. But Halpern is clawing it back little by little, but it's not enough right now.
It's about a tenth at a time. It was once again 27.8 for Halpern, 27.9 for Massey. At that rate, he'll get him at about 15 laps, or at least catch up to the back of him.
But will the tires still be under him in 15 laps is the question. Can he make up the ground, but when he gets there, will he actually have anything to use to get by Massey? So we'll see if he does make up that gap. Can he actually make the move? It's looking like it's just a little bit of a train right now. 10 cars in the lead lap. I think everybody might be thinking about going to the end because it looks like people are trying to save their stuff.
And if he does pit about the time that he catches up to him, if Halpern does that, it'll be 30 laps to go, and that would split it up perfectly evenly. So theoretically, the fastest way around if you make a pit stop. So it all depends on what's in the heads of these guys, who has a crew chief, and who's done the math. Well, they apparently have the mental fortitude to think about some other things. They're talking football scores right now.
I mean, when you're in a holding pattern like this, I wouldn't want to be talking about football because that would put me to sleep, but clearly drivers need some form of stimulation here as they're all waiting for either the next pit stop or the end of the race. Caleb Weekly just let by a couple of lap cars. Chad Klinger still 7 laps down. I think he got the lucky dog last time out, so that's one of his laps back. He's going to need 7 more cautions to get the rest back, but, you know, every little counts. And David Mott Jr. is also still out there, 26 laps down, so a lot of drivers just, they never give up. They want every point that they can get.
Continue to watch here. The 20 lead the 95, leading the 94. Close in there. Lakatos and Cockrell all basically in a train. Kind of wonder if these are the drivers that are managing their pace and are trying to get to the end of it without another pit stop. Everybody has tires right now. The only one that might not is Eddie Trejo. I've seen him marked as in the pits 5 times so far, but we don't know if every single one of those included tires. It seems a little unlikely at this early into the race. So if we get a caution, I expect pretty much everybody, even if it's right now, to suddenly rush into the pits.
And yeah, Trejo's last stop, he was only in the box for 6.2 seconds, so I don't think he took tires in 6.2 seconds. So he has at least 1 set left. He might have 2 sets left, because I remember he came down to fix some damage, I think, at 1.2.
That's that new single lug nut. That's why they get the 6.2. Yeah.
1 single lug nut across all 4 tires.
Oh, there you go. I like the way you think. Lap 111 now, with Ray Massey still 1.3 seconds ahead. We were watching that gap earlier. I'm checking it now, and it's definitely evened out a fair bit. So it seems like whatever good Halpern had over Massey, it's all kind of faded and come out in the wash, unless things get better for the 26 later in the stint. Bryce Calusa, of course, hoping both of them wear out their stuff, I'm imagining, and being able to continue trudging on by if the two of them pit while he inherits positions. At least we think that could be the case there for that pink number 20 machine. 10 cars on the lead lap here. Caleb Weekly, the last of them. Trejo got his lap back as well with that last caution.
Matthew Close had a big loose moment in turn 1 a couple laps ago, but he is coming back. He's on the rear bumper of Casey Lakatos here. So Close making up for lost time, trying to get back up to 6th place. Remember, he was on the same strategy that Zach Halpern was, and he spun on his warm-up lap and lost all that ground and was a lap down. But he's back on the lead lap now. We know he has some pretty good race pace. Can he get by Casey Lakatos, though, is the question. He goes for a much wider entry, a little bit of a later apex than the number 50 went for as well. He's got the momentum here, but he just can't quite get close enough to go for a move into 4.
This has got to be tense for the drivers as well. Oh, and behind them, did Cockrell? No, he wasn't. He didn't overtake Trejo because Trejo was behind him. Trejo was taking a look on Clifton, I believe. And now they're starting to pair up into groups. Lakatos and Close, Cockrell and Trejo. And then the others have all kind of gone single file in front of them. But 2 pairs here at the back of the train that we were watching before. Yeah, this does feel somewhat pedestrian from all these drivers at the back. If you're gonna be at the back, you might as well take a gamble here and try and stay out. See what it'll do.
Well, Trejo looks like he's trying to make a move here. He doesn't seem like he's happy to stick in 9th and stay behind Clifton Cockrell. He's trying to get a nose underneath there. He's still not quite close enough, but he's running as close as humanly possible to the bottom of 4. So he's scrubbing those tires, and it looks like it's going to work for him for position here. He does get to the bottom in 1 and 2. So good for 1 more track position. Is it good for the tires, though? I'm not so sure.
Up to P8 for the 21 machine after he started this thing in 17th. And so I'm sure he'll be rather happy about that one. Oh, something with Halpern. Halpern's in. Ah, there's our first to blink. And just about at 30 laps to go. Zach Halpern trying potentially for an undercut. Does Massey respond next time by?
Question is, if you're gonna pit, you got to commit now. So you can't pit on lap 145. And here
he does.
Comes.
23 is in. They're playing the same game here, but the 20 is not. The 20 keeps going.
It could be a valid strategy to split this up a little bit. So the 2 that pitted, they're gonna have to go 31 laps rather, which is, it's a long stint. It's one of the longest stints we've seen in this whole race in terms of green flag running. So if you wait until maybe lap 130 or lap 135, you'll have a shorter period of time, and you might lose a lot of ground on the overcut, but then you'll have fresher tires to make the pass at the end. So it's an interesting strategy call. Bryce Calusa, he's either going to the end or he's waiting, but the 23, I think he felt like he had to match Halpern because they were the 2 main characters up there.
Indeed, our protagonists in this tale. And the good news for both of those teams is that both drivers hit their marks this time. No overshooting. Sun glints off the car here as it starts to get a little bit lower in the sky now. Calusa now your leader. Hodson into 2nd, just behind him. Dacuda into 3rd. None of them have pitted. The only 2 that have pitted are Halpern and Massey. Everybody looks to be playing a little bit longer game.
The most interesting thing will be the comparison here as they come across the line on their first lap on those fresh tires. We have 29 laps left to go, so we're going to have to do some math here. Can they make up the full lap that they've lost to Bryce Calusa if he stays out, and to the rest of the gang if they stay out? Last lap for Bryce Calusa was a 28.6. Last lap for Halpern and Massey, 27.5, 27.4. So that is a full second. And with only a 28-second lap here, I think they might be able to make that up.
It's going to be very close. It'll depend on what the distance between their laps look like. And I don't know if we covered it, but Halpern came out ahead of Massey in that sequence. And it's a full second between them now. So that undercut just by an extra lap helped Halpern in the immediacy of the situation. But when they get towards the end, will that hurt him if they have to try and run down and pass Calusa in that last lap or 2?
Massey's getting impatient here. He's getting unhappy. He's trying to get his lap back, but he's fighting with lead lap cars in Casey Lakatos and Matthew Close, so they have no reason to let him by, even though he is on those fresher tires. He does finally get by him. But I could tell he was getting frustrated there. He almost put the bumper to the 20. And there was somebody else in the pit lane there. I didn't see who it was.
That's Cockrell.
Yeah, Clifton Cockrell. He's ditching the alternate strategy.
This is a bit of a late call, though. Went 5 laps longer, 4 laps really, than the others. I don't know. I feel like that's the worst of two worlds. He's going to lose all the track position, and he's going to have less time to try and make it up on the fresh rubber. And now those two have jumped him by all the more since they've been out on the hot tires.
Yeah, if you're one of the drivers, no offense, like Clifton Cockrell, who hasn't been fighting up front all day, you don't really have any reason to come in here. I think you might as well go for the alternate strategy. Go as long as you can. Stay out there with your track position and hope you can hang on here. If you chicken out a couple laps in, like you said, it's the worst of both worlds. So I don't think that's going to work out for Clifton Cockrell. And I also don't think that Kalusa Hodgson is in as well. So it's an odd move, because if I'm Kalusa or Finian DeCuna or Casey Lakatos, I'm committed. I can't come in now.
Yeah, so Hodgson is going to lose even more than Cockrell, who will easily go by him. Halpern last lap, 27.7. Kalusa, 28.8. Yeah, just about exactly 1 lap. And in fact, Massey just got his lap back. So Halpern and Massey are on the lead lap. And they've got 23 laps to do it.
23 laps to make up 26 seconds for Zach Halpern. Last lap for Kalusa, 28.9. Last lap for Halpern, 27.7. So that's 1.2 seconds. 1.2 times 23 is greater than 26 or 25 now. So if Halpern can get through Weekly and Trejo and Close and Lakatos and DeCuna, he could get Kalusa here. But he's got to make those passes on track for position.
And the tires are going to continue to wear away. The laps will get slower. We don't know what the curve looks like on that and when they'll start to even out between themselves and Kalusa. They certainly have to make hay now. Halpern getting past Ben Laughter. That's a lapped car, so that's not for position, but it is for track position. And every time they have to take a non-optimal line, that's going to slow them down.
Ray Massey, unfortunately, has been the not the beneficiary of the lap traffic. We saw him getting frustrated with Lakatos. He's lost a full 1.4 seconds to the back of Halpern. So we know Halpern has a lot of work to do. Massey's got even more work to do, because he's also got to make it through the same amount of traffic, and then he's got to get through the person he hasn't been able to pass for a while.
This is going to be a nail biter. It's down to 20 seconds difference between Halpern and Kalusa now. And continuing to drop. It's under 20. In fact, I can see the time on my scoring tower continue to fall each time around. There you see that bright pink and white number 20 machine. Bryce Kalusa began this from row number 3 out there, or excuse me, row 4 in 7th place. Took advantage of some of the strategies, some of the cautions to try and see if he could out-strategize everybody else here today. And there you see on your screen, last lap at a 28.8. Let's see this time by what it's going to be. He's been very consistent so far. Ooh, 29 flat for him now.
And that was the 42nd lap he's done on these tires, and there's still 18 more to go. So that's going to be a 60-lap stint. Remember that Evan Adams was reporting he was cheese grading his tires. He was down to 25% after 30 laps. So you better hope Bryce has been nicer to his tires, because we don't want to see a blowout in the lead, and we don't want to see that from Finian either. I know Finian tends to be pretty good at keeping the tires under him. Casey Lakatos as well. So I think them two might be in the good, but we hope Bryce doesn't Kalusa tire.
And don't forget, we could get some battles towards the end as well between some of these cars. Lakato, close. They're still separated by about 0.4 of a second. I guarantee you that 92 would rather finish 3rd than 4th if he can get up to him. There you see him on screen. In fact, he gains big time on the braking into turn 3. think Hodgson is getting close to get his lap back. Cockrell still needs another 10 seconds or so to get there. So he's got a bit of time that he's got to make up if he wants to finish on the same lap as our leaders. Right on board with Nolan here, looking forward up to Massey. See, what are the laps looking like now? Kalusa, he's brought it back down a little bit, dipped into the 28.9s before. Halpern's down to 14 seconds back. He's running 28 flats these last couple laps.
But with 14, 15 laps to go now, Halpern critically has not been a full second faster than Kalusa here. So he needs to pick up the pace here, or he needs Kalusa to slow down a little bit, because right now, mathematically, it's not looking too good.
And making moves 3 wide. Here comes the likes of Massey catching up to Halpern. He has cut that down by a couple tenths as this has gone on. Yeah, that we couldn't have asked for a more perfect scenario for this ending. The lap times match almost perfectly, making it a toss-up as to which is quicker, staying out or grabbing the tires. It might come all the way down to who is the better driver with which strategy. Are you a twinkle toes? Are you a hot shoe? Which can you handle better?
Well, you know what they teach you in driver's school. You're either a twinkle toes or a hot shoe, and it's hard to switch between the two of them. It looks, Matthew Close has disconnected from the race. What happened to him?
I am not sure. I'm checking here. He took it down into pit lane and parked it.
Oh, he overcooked it into 4. He hit the wall, and then he brought it down pit lane and just kind of gave up there. I still don't get it. You only hit the wall. There were only 11 laps to go. You were guaranteed a top 10 finish, a top 8 finish, actually, with a couple other drivers in trouble, but he didn't feel like it was necessary to come to the end there, and he does bring it down pit road. Matthew Close will most likely finish outside of the top 10, actually, because Chad Klinger, this goes to show why you stay out. He's 7 laps down, but there's more than 7 laps left in the race. Chad Klinger is going to get a top 10 here if he keeps rolling.
Very nice. By the way, Massey has it down to 0.4 of a second now. There you see the replay one last time on what happened in turns 3 and 4. Massey is either getting the brakes in the traffic, or he's been consistently quicker than Zach Halpern. Remember what I said earlier? Zach pitted just a little earlier. Probably was really pushing those tires to try and leap ahead of Ray. And now I think he's paying.
And if these two start fighting, they can basically kiss goodbye to their chances of winning. Unfortunately, I think realistically, they've already done that, because last lap for Kalusa 29, last lap for Halpern 28.3. So there's only 7/10 difference now. There's 11.5 seconds between Halpern and the leader, and there's only 10 laps to go. So I don't have to do the math for you to tell you that unless Halpern finds another full second here, or we get a little visit from the Y word, I think this is Kalusa's race to lose.
And well, racing is about pushing the limits, and we're hearing that Matthew Close blew his tire. This was a real concern with this long run idea that if you stay out too long, you could take it down to the threads. The tire will go. They have modeled that in iRacing. And, well, you saw the results with Matt.
Yeah, I guess he couldn't, well, he might have not
Lakatos
actually
is
had
in.
Did he have an extra set of tires? I don't know.
Is Lakatos experiencing the same thing, maybe?
I think he must be. If he's coming down at this point, he must have an extra set of tires in the pits. He must need that. So I think if Close disconnected from the session, he must have not had a 5th set of tires left, which is odd because he only came down pit road 3 times. But I don't know.
He had to have had one, yeah.
Casey Lakatos is in. And critically, with 7 laps to go, Finian D'Acuna is catching Bryce Kalusa. That gap was below a second for a moment. He was bringing the gap down little by little. We could have a battle for the lead here if Finian's been nicer to his tires.
Kalusa only 9/10 of a second ahead this time by, what's the lap's going to be? 29.2. Halpern looking at a 28.4 last time. He's now coming to the line, but he's got to worry about what's in his mirror more potentially. Yeah, 28.4. That's just not enough. 6 laps to go. It was a valiant effort by the 26, but it looks like it's not coming to fruition. While a brave drive from Bryce Kalusa might net him a surprise win and give us our 4th winner in 4 races.
But he's not home free yet. With these tire blowouts that we've seen, he's still got to drive around 5 more times. That's 5 more miles those tires have to survive. Can he do it, though? Has he been nice enough to him? Does he have that critical 2% left in the tank?
Another car coming in. That's Caleb Weekly. Maybe just trying to get out of the way. He's not in a fight for much here. Actually, no, he was in a fight for position. He just went a lap down with that one. So not sure what. There's some very strange strategy calls here today. Down to 4 laps to go. And Kalusa is responding. It's up to 1.2 ahead of Takuna now.
Yeah, Finian probably got his hopes up in the cockpit there when he saw that 0 in front of the relative number, but Kalusa, he might have seen that same number and started to turn the wick up a little bit, because with 3 laps to go, unless Finian finds half a second here every lap, Kalusa's got this.
I'm starting to think that Massey might have this spot over Zach Halpern, too. He's got it down to within 0.2 of a second. And I'm sure even if he can't get the win, he'd like to at least deny him a podium finish, considering how much of this race the 23 was leading. Eddie Trejo has been in the pits for 3 minutes. Not sure if we missed why he went in.
I think Trejo got into the wall again, or he had a tire blowout. Either way, he's gone 8 laps down now. So Chad Klinger, by virtue of continuing to stay out, he's going to be 9th now.
White flag awaits for Bryce Kalusa. The 20 car has a second gap back to Finian Takuna. Halpern stalled out at about 6 seconds away from the leader. It was close, but not close enough. Just 1 more lap around. Does Kalusa have enough underneath them, though? Remember, that tire could blow just as easily as anybody behind him. We've already seen at least one, we're pretty certain. The 20 does look like he is babying it as he comes around looking for the checkered flag. Bryce Kalusa, from 7th on the grid, will take the win here at Phoenix. Takuna takes 2nd. Halpern survives for a 3rd as Massey winds up in 4th. Hodgson, the last one on the lead lap. Boy, that got spread apart at the end. So Nolan taking P5 behind them. And Kalusa looking like he is ready to burn this one down with whatever is left of that rubber underneath him, taking some celebration. We, in the meantime, will take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. We're going to come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews, so stick around.
None of them took to the grid, so they all finished 151 laps, a full race distance down.
Which will take us to our winner here today, Bryce Calusa, with his victory. Did some admirable work. Let's have a little chat with the number 20 car here as we pull him in. And Bryce certainly made it look like it wasn't the funnest thing out there, because it felt like you were tiptoeing for quite a bit there, Bryce. How bad was it at the end dealing with those tires?
Honestly, it felt pretty consistent through the entire last run there after Zach and Ray pitted. I was just focused on hitting my marks and keeping it smooth the whole time and making sure my right front didn't blow. I knew I had a pretty good chance at the win if I kept it on the track.
It worked out. It got a little close at the end. Was there any stage where you started to doubt your call to try and stay out? Did you have eyes on Zach Halpern, or somebody else have eyes on him and giving you updates on how far back he is?
Yeah, so when that last run started, I noticed they were driving a lot harder than I was, and my plan from the get-go was to make it to the end, no stopping. I noticed they were driving a lot harder, so it was either they were going to plan for a pit stop or their tires were going to wear down, and I was going to catch them in the long run. I was pretty confident about that, but after the pit stop, I was a little concerned that they were going to have enough time to get around, but their tires wore in and we were about the same pace, so held on to it.
Let's jump back a little bit. We saw a number of drivers have spins or scary moments at the starts of stints, either on restarts or after pit stops or the very start of the race. What were the tires like? Were they kind of sketchy when they were cold, or what exactly was causing that?
Yeah, as is usually typical of the tire model, the tires are pretty cold for 2 or 3 laps. In practice, I noticed if I hit the apron on the dog leg, it would spin right around. So my plan was either to completely avoid it or just lift a little if I went on the apron. So yeah, that probably explains why that was happening. But all you got to do is keep it smooth for a few laps, and it'll come in.
Well, again, we can't tell you how impressive that was to watch. And is there anybody you want to give a shout out to that helped make this win possible?
Shout out to my other teammate Ben Laughter in Dirty Torque. He always hits the track before me and gives me some pointers that he notices in practice. So always fun practice with him, and we help each other out.
Great stuff there from Bryce Calusa. 4th winner in 4 rounds here at the start of the season. Such has been the variety. And I think we have our 2nd place finisher ready to talk to Joey Tebben, and that would be Finian DeCuna.
Finian, you didn't win the race, unfortunately. There was about a second in it at the end, but you've got your first GSRC interview of the season, and it's with me, so who's the real winner here?
Yeah, I'm honestly just amazed as you that I'm in the booth right now. I honestly didn't even bother joining the booth, joining the GSRC Discord when they sent the invite early, because I didn't think I was going to finish in the top 3 at any point this season. But yeah, I was just amazed to actually be in there in 2nd place. Yeah, I was so close to chasing Bryce.
Well, at the end, I saw you were making up a little bit of ground, and you did bring it below a second at one point. Did you think you had a shot at him? Do you think you could have made it past him?
Well, I did, and then I took a look at my tire life left, and I'm looking at it right now. The right front had 14% left, so I don't know exactly how much I could have pushed it before it blew out. And that was really my main concern. I wanted to blow out and get a meatball flag and potentially get a black flag from that, because iRacing is a little weird like that. So I didn't want to put anything at risk. I said, you know what, 2nd place is pretty good. It's not worth trying to wreck the car for getting that win. But I got to give it to Bryce. I'm really curious of what his tire percentage was, because I was closing on him, but it was just a little bit too much for me.
So you said you were at 14% at the end?
Yeah, 14% tire left at the end. And actually, in the earlier run, the first green flag pit stop we had, I came in with 4% left on the tires. So I really used them up today.
Well, it seems like everybody did, but luckily you were one that didn't pop those tires, and it paid off for you. You finished 2nd. Next week we go to Dover, same length as Phoenix, but very different. So are you looking forward to Grover? Are you good there? How are you going to run there?
Yeah, it's interesting with Dover because for the longest time I really didn't do too well, but I enjoy it in the trucks and the Xfinity cars. We'll see if I enjoy it in the next gen car, but definitely looking forward to the challenge.
Well, it'll be a challenge for everyone. I'll definitely say that. But anyone you need to thank before we unceremoniously kick you out of here?
Yeah, I guess Casey Lakatos for being my teammate. They're working well. We're bouncing strategies on what to do, what not to do throughout the entire run. So it was nice to have him as a teammate. Really awesome. I mess with him quite a lot of times, even on when we're broadcasting him. I poke fun at him, but he's been an awesome teammate throughout.
Finian Dacuna, driver of the number 94. Jeez, I can't believe I screwed that up. Can't believe it. But whatever number is, he finished second place, and he's in the GSRC server now. So that's good luck. He'll be on the podium again, I guarantee it. But we got one more driver. Zach Halpern finished third. He's with Joe.
Indeed, and Zach seemed to have a strategy card that he liked today, and that was the undercut. Zach, it worked pretty well for you, sort of twice. It got you the lead for a while in the middle of the race, and then at the end, it helped you undercut Ray Massey, but it didn't get you the victory. So where do you put this one? Do you take the ups or the downs, or is it in between? Zach, do you have a copy? We might have to give Zach a moment here to try and get his radio set up. We definitely want to talk to him. And
can you hear me now?
Now we've got Zach. Zach, I don't know if you got my question before.
I did. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed. I felt like we had the right strategy. I think just cautions came out at quite not the right time for us. Just didn't quite go our way tonight, and I think the strategy was the right call, especially at the end. I just didn't have the long run speed, and I didn't really know how to save because I was having to push through the field so many times, and I made the right calls in my opinion. It just didn't work our way tonight.
The one upside, I'd say, is when I was looking at the stats, I was kind of amazed. You were within the top 5 in points, but you didn't even have a top 5 on the track up till now. So at least you've ticked that box. Do you feel like this is a step in the right direction and you can carry this momentum as we go to Dover?
Yeah, I definitely think we can continue this momentum. I'm very happy with how we've been racing this year. I made that mistake at Martinsville, and that obviously cost me, but Phoenix has never been one of my better tracks, and for me to come out here and be as fast as I was is definitely a plus. And I know that Tim is also up there in speed, just hasn't quite gotten the luck yet, gotten dumped a couple of times by some drivers. So we're looking to just keep doing what we're doing, being consistent, and maybe sneak a win or two out of this.
And where does the balance sit for you on that? Because we do have the playoffs later on in the season, and it's the top 12 that advance. Is the win the end-all, be-all for you? You just want to make sure that you keep getting those steady points?
I really feel with my speed, even if I go all out for a win, I can still finish top 10 in most races. So I really would like to get some wins. It's been a while since I last won. And I really think that even if I throw everything out, throw the kitchen sink at everyone and finish in 8th or 9th, like I'm fine with, I think I'll make the playoffs as long as I don't have some catastrophe happen, which hopefully won't.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you. Anyways, congratulations on a podium. Do you want to thank anybody for that today?
Yeah, I want to thank you guys for doing an awesome broadcast. We appreciate you coming out here and doing this for us. It's amazing quality. You guys do a great job. And I'd also like to thank my teammate Tim and Downey Enterprises. He's always there supporting me. He's kind of been my backbone for a lot of iRacing since we teamed up in this league. And I really appreciate him. He kind of keeps me mellow-headed. He's kind of like that, hey, keep calm. Things can go your way. So I appreciate him for that. And thank you guys also.
Well, thank you for joining us and giving us a great race. That was Zach Halpern finishing third on the track, which will take us to our closing, which starts with a big thank you, of course, to the Outsider Racing League for bringing us on here to cover at Phoenix and for this season. But also a thank you, of course, goes to the companies that provide the software and the hardware for our broadcasts that are listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to June the Law, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, Joey, Gary, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed on the screen. Also, check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel while you're down there so you don't miss a moment. As we mentioned, the next race is at Dover, Saturday, October 16th at 9:50 p.m. Eastern. But we have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.